Welcome, my friends, to the Monday edition of Snerdley's Rush Hour here on 77 WABC. If you would like to be on the program today, 800-848-9222 is how you reach us, 800-848-9222. It is October 7th. I know where I was at this time a year ago. It was a Saturday. I was in the studio. With me was one of my dearest friends in the world. He was in Israel. His name is Joel Rosenberg. He's the founder and editor-in-chief of All Israel News. Prior to that, many, many years ago, when we were both very young, he's still younger than I am, he was working with us on the Rush Limbaugh program. He was Rush's man in Washington. Joel has since then become a world-renowned author, a best-selling author. I can't even keep up with the number of books. He's a prolific writer. All of them bestsellers. Many of them have accurately predicted, even though they're novels, events that took place in the world later, particularly in the Mideast. Joel has many hats. His political acumen is incredible. He's covered the war from the beginning in Israel. He has been inside Gaza, inside the terror tunnels. He's interviewed hostage families. He's met with Prime Minister Netanyahu and so many other Saudi and other Gulf leaders. Welcome, my dear friend, Joel. How are you today?
Bo, it's hard to call you Bo, but I'm just going to call you James. I love you.
James, everybody.
I love you, and I'm so grateful for your friendship. And you're right. I think you're the first person I talked to outside my family, the first media person I talked to on that morning of October 7th. It was a brutal, cruel day, and you immediately got in touch with me and asked me to come on the show, and I was honored to do it.
Joel, this year, I don't even know whether it can be summed up in an hour or many hours what has taken place. We have seen inside our homeland here in the United States of America, anti-Semitism raise its head. To me, I'm appalled by what I've seen coming out of American college campuses. Israel is still fighting for its very existence, and I must say they're doing a masterful job. But the threats to Israel still remain. Iran is still the big power that needs to be checked in the region. Your assessment of life in Israel and what has happened during this year.
Yeah, James, we got blindsided by the Hamas invasion of about 6,000 terrorists on October 7th last year. We didn't see it coming. Israel's greatest intelligence failure was a catastrophic failure. Israel was focused on the Iranian leadership and the regime and that threat, and the Hezbollah threat in Lebanon, and considered the Hamas terrorist organization a tension to be managed, not a problem to be solved. And so they just weren't giving creativity or effort or even hardly any focus on it. Over the last year, it has been, I've said it many times, I've said it on your show, Israel has been living through our darkest hour. And because, we didn't see more Jews killed in a single day than during the Holocaust. But October 7th was the worst day in all of Jewish history in the modern era post-Holocaust. And we didn't have a state back then, but we have one today. And where was it on October 7th? But to Israel's credit, there's been a lot of soul searching and recriminations to be sure, but Israel has rallied. And where are we now? where are we now? I mean, there's a lot of criticism of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Some of it's valid, but some of it is not. But I'll tell you, he has become the Winston Churchill of this fight. The war against Hamas is over in Gaza. Now, there'll be mop-up operations. There's still terrorists there, and they have some caches of weapons here and there. But effectively, Hamas's back has been broken. They've been shattered. In Lebanon, nobody saw that Israel could do what it just did in the last month. Israel took out 18 of the top 18 terror leaders of Hezbollah in a few days, including assassinating the demonic head of Hezbollah, Sheikh Hassan Nasrallah, who had run that organization for 32 years. And then Israel took out the next top 4,000 terrorists, leaders and commanders of Hezbollah, right, with those explosive-laden pagers and walkie-talkies. That's just genius. And so now, and
let me just
yeah, go ahead.
There for one moment.
Yeah, I'm just glad to have good news to report.
When that story broke, I think the entire world marveled. How could they do this? That was day one when the pages went off. Then when the walkie-talkies went off, it just went into overdrive.
Yes. Yeah.
You are dealing with a sophisticated intelligence service like the world has never seen before.
Yeah, if I'd written a political thriller in which that happened, my publisher wouldn't have published it, and you probably wouldn't even had me on, even though you love me, because it would have seemed ridiculous. I mean, Joel, come on. Yeah, you can make up anything, but you can't make up the total destruction of the top 4,018 people in a terrorist organization in like a 3-day period. Like it can't happen, so don't be ridiculous. But it happened. And now US and Israeli intelligence estimates say that Israel has now, over the past month, destroyed 50% of Hezbollah's missile arsenal. Now, there's a lot to go, right? Because they had about 150,000 missiles, so maybe there's 75,000 left. And we've gotten hit by about 200 of them today. But why haven't we been hit with 30,000 today? And the reason is because the entire command and control structure of Hezbollah has been shattered. Like, nobody wants to touch a phone in Hezbollah. Nobody can touch a pager or a walkie-talkie. So what are they using? Morse code? People are just making decisions on their own to shoot, but a lot of those people are dead, and so, or wounded. So, and now the attention's turning to Iran. And I think, James, that we are in the most dangerous moment of the war over the past year, because with Hamas neutralized and Hezbollah reeling, now there's the first time that we've had an open shot to have Israel decapitate the Iranian leadership, neutralize the Iranian nuclear program, nuclear weapons program, and destroy Iran's oil refinery capacities, cutting off the money that is funding the nuclear weapons program and the terror system. So, but President Biden, Vice President Harris are putting enormous, unprecedented pressure on Prime Minister Netanyahu to stand down, to accept a ceasefire. And what they mean by that in plain English is to surrender. And this is Netanyahu's test. Will he surrender, or will he pull the trigger on Tehran? I think he's going to pull the trigger, and it might be in the next few hours. I don't know exactly when, of course, but I think this is the moment. And I interviewed former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett last week, who is the most popular leader in Israel, and he would be the prime minister right now if there were elections. He's a former prime minister. He's not in government, but he's Netanyahu's main rival. And Bennett told me, this is the moment, Joel. We've got to go and destroy the Iranian leadership and topple that regime before they get the bomb, which means he's saying to Netanyahu, even though I oppose you, I support you if you'll do this. And pretty much left and right, up and down the system, there's total unanimity to strike now, strike hard, strike fast. It's just that our main ally, the American government, is against us. as well as the British and the French and the UN, and what that we expect in a sense. But wow, Israel is going it alone, and that we can talk about how successful Israel's being at going it alone, but it's a scary place to be when you're a country of 10 million people and your main ally is the world's only superpower, but that superpower is being led by cowards.
Joe, you say cowards. I want to explore what is really going on with this. I'm going to take you back to the Obama years, where billions of dollars in cash were handed to the Iranians. I want to take you back to Biden's first term, where more money, critical funds, were sent to Iran. Is the position of, and I'm going to just make it political because it is, why are the leaders in the Democrat Party so intent on seeing the number one sponsor of terrorism have nuclear capabilities and be able to continue threatening the very existence of Israel? Why would they do this?
Yeah, there's two possible answers, right? Just analytically. One, they're trying to destroy America by strengthening our enemies. The other is incompetence, and I will tell you that I still go with incompetence. I think Biden and Harris, I think they're just idiots and they're cowards and they don't believe in winning. And so I think they genuinely have believed that you could cajole the Iranian regime back onto the on-ramp to get on the highway of friendly international relations. They're just dead on wrong. But all their policies also have a negative effect, which is anti-American and anti-Israel. I don't think they are anti, except that their values are so wrong, their instincts are so wrong that the effect is to be anti-American and anti-Israel. I was just on a radio show just a little while ago. Someone said, Vice President Harris is an anti-Semite. I said, no, that's not really fair. She married a Jewish man. But when you so don't understand the nature and threat of evil, when you think that evangelicals and conservatives are evil, but the Iranian regime is not, then you've got a major problem, and it's leading Biden and Harris to terrible choices. We all saw this at the beginning. The best case example, option one on the table is we fought for 20 years against Al-Qaeda and the Taliban in Afghanistan. And then when everybody told Biden don't do it, he pulled the Jenga stick out of the game on the 20th anniversary of 9/11. Everyone told him that's going to collapse the democratically elected weak, but at least relatively moderate government of Afghanistan. It's going to crumble and the Taliban will take back over. Now, he just didn't get it. But that weakness and that incompetence matched with his hubris that he's better at it than everybody, that's a dangerous cocktail. Incompetence mixed with hubris. But Harris is drinking the same cocktail. And that's what puts us in such mortal jeopardy as a nation, and obviously for Israelis too, if in a few weeks Harris becomes the commander-in-chief. We're in for the most dangerous 4 years of our existence.
John, I'm going to take a break here. I would like you to stay on for another segment with me, please.
Sure.
Joel Rosenberg is here, founder, editor-in-chief of All Israel News, my dear friend. And, wow, what is going on 1 year later? This was the equivalent of Israel's 9/11. And it has to be looked from that perspective. Birthday today, David Hope from the American rock band Kansas. Hard to believe this was 1978, but it was. It went to number 3 on the charts, Dust in the Wind. Happy birthday to David Hope. James Golden, Bo Snerdley, here with you on WABC 800-848-9222. Same old song, just a drop of water in the sea. Joel Rosenberg. Joel, where can people find All Israel News?
Yeah, you can go to allisrael.com. Again, allisrael.com. You can sign up for our free email daily newsletter. You'll get all the top headlines. Basically, we have created an entirely new system of journalism in Israel, which is what I call the George Costanza doctrine of journalism. Whatever the mainstream media does, do the opposite. And that's why we're surging in traffic because we're credible. We're doing the exact opposite of everything that's happening in the horrific mainstream media, which has been, exposed as even more horrific, not just in this election cycle, but during this war.
Where do you see this all going, Joel? Where do you see? I was reading a Washington Post article today that said that now that Israel is on the counterattack, they are preparing to be at war for years. Do you see this war going on for years?
I do not, because Israel does not have a doctrine that will allow us to fight for years. That's why we're about to go for the knockout blow, I believe. Because remember, Israeli security doctrine believes that America will be standing with us through all of our wars. And so we're grateful as Israelis that the American people, have, in this war have passed through Congress more than $26 billion worth of funding. But what happens with that funding? Well, what happens is American defense contractors build the weapons that we use. Now, we adapt them somewhat, we improve them, but it's all built by American workers with American taxpayer dollars because we're fighting America's enemies. The problem is, James, that we've never imagined a scenario in which America would not be with us, that the president of the United States and the vice president would effectively be stopping or slowing down the flow of weapons and ammunition to us during a live, hot war on 7 fronts in order to leverage us to surrender. And so we're going to run out of ammunition. We're going to run out of missiles. And so we're about to go for the kill shot, I believe. And it's a scary place to be. Now, for me, as an evangelical, I believe what the Bible teaches, that God is with Israel, even when we struggle as Israelis. Not every Israeli believes in God or walking with God or reading the Bible. But God loves us anyway. And in this case, he's not going to allow us to be eradicated or annihilated. But we can't wait for Washington because we have to defeat and destroy the Iranian regime and nuclear and oil systems. Why? Because we have to end this war. We can't go on forever. And I think 6 months or a year from now, you're going to have me on the show on WABC, right? The blowtorch of New York City. And you're going to say, Joel, you predicted on my show that Israel would be seen as the superpower par excellence in the Middle East a few months ago, and that the Saudis would make peace with Israel once we won this war, that possibly even the Lebanese would make peace when you win this war, and now here we are. I think that's where we're headed, but it could be very dark and messy between now and then.
Well, Joel, I'm going to certainly extend the invitation to you. I also would like to extend, aside from talking about this ever-important war in Israel, I want to have you back before the election, if possible, to talk about American politics.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot going on here. In fact, today, I got to stop real quick, but today, the merchant of death that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris let out to get our precious WNBA basketball player back, the merchant of death, guess what he's doing? He's back selling weapons. He's back
Shocking.
selling weapons. Absolutely.
Mercy. Lord have mercy.
Once again, tell people how they can get a hold of All Israel News.
Yeah, you can go to allisrael.com. Again, allisrael.com. And, of course, you can follow me on social media, X, at Joel C. Rosenberg.
Joel, thank you for spending so much time with us.
Such an honor, my friend. Bless you. Thank you.